Hello and welcome to Jerry's Live. My name is Michaela Westra and I will be your host this evening. Now, I do want to say happy Earth Day. Today is Earth Day, and because of that, I have a kind of an earth-friendly project for us all today. And before I get into that, I do want to say it just started raining near us, so if you hear any of that in the background, bear with us. Now, okay, for this earth-friendly collage project, I have a lot of fun materials from our Jerry's Live website that you guys can grab and take home if you want, that pays attention to how it affects the environment, whether it's recyclable, it's plant-based, water-based, biodegradable, whatever it is, everything that I've chosen, I've kind of kept that in mind. Now, if you're curious about any of these materials that I'm using throughout and you're new to the show, we have a code. Today is hashtag JL378, and if you pop that in the search bar on JerrysArtarama.com, it will bring up everything I'm using. Additionally, we do have a page on our website that has all of our eco-friendly products. So if you go onto our website on your computer and you see the bar where it has paint and canvas and drawing material, all the way on the right there's a tab that says more. If you click that, there will be a drop down. In that drop down, it will be eco-friendly products, and it will bring you to all of those on our website. So definitely check that out if you're interested. It's starting to come down really hard now. But let's go ahead and jump into our collage work. Now, I have a couple of different materials. Now, when I think of collage, originally, I would think of magazines. So I actually have some magazines and a calendar actually from the American Humane Society. That's one of my materials that I have. I also think of just like regular decorative paper. So I have two different options for that. I have washi paper. It's a pack of just, I think it's just clippings or leftover scraps from decorative papers of all different sizes and colors and types. This is fantastic for collage. So I have all of this here. If you want larger pieces of decorative paper and you want to go to a physical Jerry's store, because I will say this product is not online. You will have to go in for the full experience for this one. We have full rolls of decorative paper, and this is kind of an example of what you might expect. Rolls of fun paper. I have kind of a soft, crepey textured paper. I have this thin paper with kind of whirls of thick fiber in here. I find this really fun. And then I also have this one here, which is just kind of like a tie-dye blue, and I thought this was perfect for like sky. So that'll come in handy when we start creating our surreal collage landscape. Now, lastly, I have my own collected source material here. Anytime I do a study or test out some materials and I really like what I've created, I hold on to that for a future project. So, for example, I have this guy. I was testing out different color combinations with colored pencils, and I just thought this collection of swatches was really fun. I have some printed tissue paper that this came with a gift, and it has little yellow hexagons and bees. I thought that would be a fun addition to one of my collages. Or even like an abstract watercolor that I did that I didn't really like the whole thing, but I chopped off the edge that had really nice color combinations. And this is another one I could pull from. So another thing with my own source material is taking my own pictures. Oh my gosh, it is so loud. So taking my own pictures. For example, if you were here for a previous episode, I did like creating your own imaginative drawing. And I had my own pictures and I chopped them up and it kind of looked like a collage, my inspirational collection of pictures. But I still had one left over of my cat's face. And I cut it out and I held on to it. And I feel like this one is gonna have to end up in my collage tonight. So I've collected all of my materials. I have magazines, I have my own source material, and I have some decorative paper. And this is kind of an example of what I'm aiming for. So everything in this one is just decorative washi paper. Now I was able to kind of create delicate little cutouts for this one and make like power lines. That whole thing is connected, both ends and the lines. That's all one piece. I have my little cow cut out and my mountains. I also have a tiny little house in here. If we go to the overhead, I can show you that a little bit closer. But I have a tiny little house over here that I put quite a bit of detail in comparison to everything else. I just find it really fun that even if you don't have magazines and you just have some fun paper, you can still create like a full landscape here. Now, before I start taping anything down to like solidify my composition and then gluing it down and finalizing it, I like to play around a little bit. So I have some things already cut out. I'm gonna move my tools out of the way. For cutting, I have the soft grip scissors here. I have an Excel swivel blade for those kind of round cutouts or tiny little areas. I have just a plain accurate blade. And then I have a couple different options for Mimic Kolinsky. This is going to be used for both my glue and my varnish, which I'll show you those a little bit later. Ooh, thunderstorming. All right, let's get these out of the way and start looking at some of my little cutout pieces. So like I said, I have this guy. It's just a cutout of my cat's head. I really like this. I just had a cutout of white magazine background with a cream, I think this is Magnani paper actually, and I just glued them together and I have a little double circle here. I think that's kind of fun. This is another personal source material photo of a water tower, and I cut that out. That might be fun in the background. What else do I got over here? Oh, I have this fun little squiggle. I just drew a squiggle with, I think, a Posca marker and took some time with with that accurate blade and cut the whole thing out. I love this. I don't know how I'm going to put it in here, but it is a surreal landscape that I'm aiming for, so maybe I can just pop this in the sky. I have these, which was, I think, origami paper, and I just took to it with some alcohol markers to create some fun texture. Maybe I'll use this in my grassy area. And then I had, from one of those watercolor sample sheets, I cut out a tree shape so I can have a fun fall tree in the background maybe. And then I cut out a piece from that colored pencil swatch page. And I'll show you what I'm using this for in particular because I needed this exact shape with a shadow along this edge and a seam here, and I'll show you exactly why I have this cut out. Because in the American Humane Society calendar here, what did I say, arcane?
You just sounded super Michigan. Calendar.
Calendar. I found a still from a movie, and I think this is from Quiet Place or something. But I really liked this figure and the cat, and the immediate thought I had was, what if it was my cat holding a cat? And for some reason, it just clicked, and I thought it was perfect. And that's what this extra little shape was. Now, her bag was I Love New York or something, so I cut it out, and now she has like a nice colorful bag So that's one thing I decided I want existing in my surreal landscape, is this figure of a cat holding a cat with a nice decorative artsy bag. So there's one of my little pieces there. And it almost kind of feels like Girl with a Pearl earring vibes. I almost want to give him like a little scarf on his head to finish the whole vibe there. But let's see, what else did I have over here? Let's move over to my magazine clippings. Now I found this tower. I don't know how I'm going to incorporate this in there, but that might be a fun addition. Oh, there was a group of chickens in one of the calendar pictures, and I turned it into a speech bubble, so maybe my cat's talking about chickens. I don't know. I'm trying to be super fun with this. This one I thought was kind of a cool idea. So this here was some grass in the foreground of one of the calendar pictures, and this is the horizon line back here, and down here is the reflection in the water. And something I found when it comes to using magazine pictures in collage is if you change the meaning of it, you don't have to worry as much about like taking from someone else's inspiration. So I kind of took the cutout of the grass in the reflection, turned it upside down, and now I have my foreground grass, but it's in a different orientation. So I changed it up a little bit. I have a tree that I just kind of delicately cut out. I don't know if he'll find his way into the image, but I think that's a fun piece of material to look at. I have another tree, which this one was kind of tilted at an angle and then kind of continued further this way, and I cut it out in a way where it looks like its own little tree, even though the bottom's a little slanted. I can still use this as its own little thing in the background, and it matches the shape of this guy. So these feel like they would fit together in the same image. And then I have a couple mountain ideas. So this was a mountain that I cut the sky off of. And I'm like, well, this is basically a mountain now too. So now I have some layered mountains that I could use. And then I thought, well, maybe that's going to be too close to the sky color, which was that cool decorative paper roll. I had this guy. I didn't want that to be too close. I didn't want it to look like the sky. So I took some of that other decorative paper, that kind of crepey paper, and colored it purple, cut out the same shape, and now it matches the other mountain a little bit more, and it adds some added texture. Alright, so I think with that, I have enough pieces for the detail part of my collage, and I just need to start setting up the background and the details of the landscape. So I'm going to slide all of this up and start the background of my collage. Now I had just a thicker piece of paper here from that washi pack, just a thicker piece of white paper, and I believe it's about an 8 by 10. I can pop it in one of these frames at the end. So let's go ahead and make some room, push some of this stuff out of the way, and we'll start gluing some stuff down. Do we have any questions while I get settled into the next steps?
No,
all right.
The cat holding a cat is making us all giggle.
I'm glad. I had a lot of fun putting that idea together. Alright. So I have this here. This will be my background in the full thing if I need to cut it down. I'm not too worried about the edges. But for the glue, I have Yes Paste, and like I said, everything I chose is going to be kind of a nod towards being environmentally friendly. This guy is awesome because it's acid-free. Where is that side? It's water-based, it's non-toxic, there's no solvents, easy cleanup, archival, and the jar's recyclable. So this is a great product if you're trying to be earth conscious. Now, before I glue things down, I like to put things together and move things around. Maybe hold some things that I decide are kind of final in place with some tape. But let's start placing some things together. Now I know I want this to be my sky. Kind of funny, it is called Marbled Blue Sky, if you're curious about this very particular paper. But I want to be purposeful with the way I put this down. Now I could put it down however, but I like this dark blue area going horizontally. It kind of makes it feel cloudy up here. So I'm going to find just the right area, and remember that I'm not going to have this entire thing exposed. So maybe just this area will be exposed to sky. Or maybe since the further back sky gets, the darker, maybe I have the darker area at the top of my page and have it get lighter towards the horizon. But I like to keep those things in mind, even though I can do basically whatever. So maybe I'll have it like that, where it's dark along the top edge. And I'll just kind of loosely cut it out in that shape and pull the excess away. Now, I don't worry about my edges until the end, because a lot of your things might go beyond the edges of your backing paper. I'll just glue everything down, and then once I'm done, turn it over and trim the excess from every layer that I've put on there. So I know I'm going to keep this here. I'm not going to tape this down. I'm just going to glue it automatically straight to the paper here. I'm going to grab one of those Mimic Kolinsky brushes, and I have some warm water right here and a porcelain dish. It's recommended when you use Yes Paste that you water it down with warm water. Don't necessarily have to do that, but less is more with this product. So I'm just going to grab a scoop of that Yes Paste, dip it into some warm water, and kind of incorporate those two things together in my porcelain dish here. And then I will coat the entire back paper here. Maybe I'll push this up a little bit, mark where that ends, take it away, and I'm just going to cover this entire area up here with that Yes Paste. Now, if you're worried about getting this on your table or your accurate cutting mat, you don't have to worry. This is easily cleaned up with warm water, and it does reactivate, so if it dries overnight, you can take a nice warm rag and clean it right up. Make a little bit more of that mixture. And this is the biggest area, so hopefully my other gluing areas aren't quite as tedious. All right. And then I'll place this right where I started gluing. Don't have to worry about my edges. And I'll just press that down. And my sky is ready to go. Now I do have the rest of this. I know I'm going to put some mountains here, and then the rest is going to be my grassy area. I'm going kind of simple with the background landscape, but let's find a fun green from the washi paper pack to put for the background of my grass. Now I really like this one. It's got flecks of gold and silver in it. But I also like this one here where it's kind of like tie-dye. like they folded it and then dyed it, and those creases got a little bit more ink to it. I really like that. So I'll let you guys help me decide which of these should be my grass, the sparkly one or the darker green. I'll put those off to the side. And I'll cut out both of them while you guys are voting. I think this one I can just cut it down a little bit. Always save your scraps for a future collage. And I can probably just put him here. This little section will be covered by mountains. It does feel kind of geometric. I'm not sure if I love that, but I don't hate that. I like the texture that it has in there. And this guy, I do like the light in the light. And I feel like with my cat in the foreground, he'll really pop. He got attached to the squiggle. All right, let me cut down this guy right about there. And that's pretty good. All right, and then we'll decide between two of those. And then my mountains, I already showed you. I have these deep purple mountains with kind of with these layered pastel-y purple mountain below that. I do think this one is going to fit better, but the darkness all the way down might be nice too. But we'll see what you guys say. I'm going to go ahead and glue these two together while you guys are voting. And then maybe I'll glue down these two. Now again, I'm just taking that yes paste, mixing it in with that warm water. And I did find out that even if it dries up, like I said, it's reactivatable with warm water. If your jar dries out, you could potentially continue to use it as long as you're activating it with warm water straight out of the jar. All right. Just coating this with that yes paste. You don't have to be too careful. Like I said, cleanup is super easy. And I know I'm going to add glue to the rest of my backing paper later. Fuse those two together. Kind of love that. Alright, and then I'll glue this guy down. What are our thoughts so far? Are we still thinking?
On Facebook, we have a vote for dark green, a vote for light green, and a question of which looks better with the grasses that you cut out.
Sparkles all the way on YouTube.
Okay. So it sounds like sparkles, but we'll see how they look with that foreground grass I had cut out here in a second. I want to make sure I like my sky ratio. Yeah, that's good. I always like to play around before I glue things down, but maybe I'll just go straight across like that. Okay, so it sounds like this one won on YouTube. This is my foreground grass. It's a little dark, but I do have these as well, which could potentially act as like a way to gradate into that lighter color. And if I put this down, kind of creating a nice gradation into the foreground there. But let me start gluing these things down. If you guys have any other recommendations as I go, please let me know. Like if you saw something that I haven't picked up yet again, and you really want to see it in this collage, go ahead and put it in the chat, and one of our moderators, Amanda and Emmy, will let me know. Now, a great thing about using your own source material or magazines is you're reusing something that might have just ended up in the trash. And as an artist, I know most artists I come across like to hoard some things that have potential for the future. This is a great project to pull those things out and give them some use. Like that pile of personal source material I had. I don't know if you guys saw just how big it was, but that was only like maybe a couple months, maybe 4 months of collection time. Glue that into place. I'll show you. This was my personal source material stack of reference photos that I cut out pieces that I thought were interesting and old paintings. This was just a swatch of gold ink, or like testing that I just like this little sliver of the paper. You can use basically anything. All right, where'd that other mountain go? Put that in place. Now, as you're gluing things down, I want you guys to keep some things in mind if you plan to varnish your creation at the end. I have a really fun, eco-friendly find for varnish to seal everything up. There we go. But you want to keep some things in mind. So if you are just going to have the paper be on its own at the end, and that's how it's going to look finalized, you don't have to worry about this. But if you are going to varnish it with, I have the Spectrafix Natural Glass, you want to make sure that everything is glued down super well. If it's not glued down flat the entire way around, you could potentially get some buckling. It's not terrible though with this varnish, I will say. I did, in the spirit of Earth Day, I did a little globe, and I covered it with, I think, 3 different coats of that Spectrafix Natural Glass. And the only thing that happened was right around here I got a little bit of buckling, and that's because I didn't put any glue in that area. So as long as you glue everything down really well, this will not cause any buckling. Now I do want to talk about this a little bit. This is all natural. There's no solvent in this. This is just going to be a water-based biopolymer. So it's a combination of wax and milk casein. So I just think this is a really fun replacement for a solvent type varnish. And it's not going to soak into your paper and create some discoloration like other varnishes might as well. So that's good to know. All right, so let me know, did we like how I did this here, where it's kind of like a grassy plain area down at the bottom? Did we like this? Should I finalize this, or should I play around a little bit more? I could potentially have that other green maybe peek behind this. So maybe I have this at the bottom. Then I have these. Then I have this. So there's a slight darker area down here. Yes?
We have a question over on YouTube about the natural glass product. Can that only be used with water-based media?
Ooh, that is a great question. I haven't seen how this works on other mediums, but it does say on here it works for all painting and drawing media. in virtually any supports, including canvas, paper, Yupo, ceramic, stone, glass, leather, fabric, and more. So it sounds like it works with just about anything. If I find something that it does not work with, I will let you guys know. I'll post it in the Facebook chat.
Michaela just said, challenge accepted. I was like,
I don't know how it would react with oil. That would be the one thing, but I can definitely test that out. I'll let you guys know.
Over here on Facebook, we like how it looks.
Yeah? All right, let's finalize that then.
Yeah. Same with YouTube. They like the grass in the middle area as well.
Yeah. Okay. Let me make some more of my yes paste mixture. Alright. And if you have the right combination of yes paste to water, there's not a lot of bleeding when it comes to adding it to your thin papers. If you have too much water, it could cause adhesion issues, and it could create some bleeding in your thin papers. So find that perfect combination. I'd say it's more yes paste than water. Maybe, what's the, like 70-30, 60-40. Find the right one, test it out on some thin papers before you jump into your final collage, just in case. Alright. So we liked this being kind of our in-between. And then we'll do these guys. Maybe I'll trim this down because I don't like too much of this sticking up. Just taking off that transparent section. And then we'll glue that down as well. Got a little hair. Okay. Now, I've already cut these things out. But I did want to give you guys some tips when it comes to cutting out your materials. So when it comes to being in a sustainable practice, you want to be aware of disposal. Now I used these two blades, and these blades are replaceable. So you want to make sure that you are considering what happens to those blades when you no longer want to use them. So finding the right way to dispose of them is going to be important. Now, what you want to do is first decide, do you want to sharpen your blades and reuse them? Or do you want to just dispose of them and get some new blades? If you want to dispose of them, what you're going to have to do is, I actually have a dull blade here. You do not want to put this straight in the trash. You do not want to recycle it like this. What you want to do is take some tape or newspaper or something, and you're going to wrap it so it is no longer sharp. You can start with newspaper and then finalize it with some tape. But this is going to be incredibly dangerous to put in some place that is going to be handled by humans later. So dulling this down with tape, especially that point there, and wrapping the entire thing is going to be your first step. Now, the next thing is to find your local area that is recycling blades. Every area is going to be different. Some places you can mail it in, some places have physical stores you can go to. Find your local area. You're going to want to collect these until you have at least, I don't know, like a good amount of them. You don't want to bring just one. I would hold on to them and store them. Maybe you finish your yes paste and you put all of your dull blades in your yes paste bin until you're ready to turn them in. But that is definitely an important thing, especially with these blades here. But that is the first step. Wrap them up, store them until you're ready to get rid of them, and find your local place that does either sharpening, recycling, melting it down. You'll have somewhere near you that will take these. All right, let me glue this guy down. Were there any pieces that you guys thought was interesting that you want to make sure ends up in this collage? I don't know, do water towers exist near mountains?
Sure.
I guess this is a surreal landscape. I should get some crazy. Get crazy with it.
That squiggle that I know it took you 3 hours to cut out.
It took so long. And then I finished and I was like, I'm gonna have to color the edges that I cut too. So I went back in with my Posca marker and colored in all the edges. I don't need all of that. Chop that down. And there we go.
One of our friends on Instagram says the cat needs an earring.
The cat needs an earring, yes!
Whatever material.
A pearl earring. Does this work as a pearl earring? I wonder if that's too big. That might be too big.
That's massive.
We'll find something.
It's like a pearl gauge.
Okay. I know I don't need this whole bottom section here, but yeah. Boop. Boop. Again, hold on to your clip-ins. You can use them later. And I do like to organize them by how I found them. So if I found them in magazines, maybe I put all my magazine clippings in one area and all of my washi paper in one area, all of my personal source material. And I didn't put this in the teacher's cart, but you could use, what are they called? That we put our Tuscan pine paints in.
Oh, the drawers?
Yeah, the wooden drawers that we have on our website. That would be a really cool place to put all of your tiny little cutouts. And you can organize them by different levels. So you can organize them by how you found them. And it looks like you're not hoarding materials in your closet, but on purpose.
See, there's a space for it.
Yeah. All right. And there's my foreground grass. All right. I think I added a little bit too much water for one of these mountains. So I'm gonna glue this area back down. That's okay, I'll come back to that. Alright, so I have my whole background done. Now I need to figure out my details in my landscape. I'm not a fan of this horizon line here, so maybe I need to find like some shrubbery to put back there. So I cut out a couple pages from the Plein Air magazine. Let's see what I got in here. This is where I cut out that one tree. This guy, he was at an angle here and I just kind of made a tree out of it. So I know I want that tree in there. This could work here, this kind of grassy area along the water's edge, but it's not quite long enough to extend the 8 inches of my backing paper. Let's see what we got over here. This could work, but again, that's not quite long enough. I could Frankenstein something together, so this is a potential one. We'll hold on to that. All right, here, I could potentially cut out a strip of this, but I'd have to make sure that if I do that, I have to cut all the way across, maybe keep these trees. That's a potential if I don't have anything else. Oh wait, other side. Not much on the other side. This I could use. It's just a strip of purple, but I could cut out little trees. That might be a good option. I'll hold on to that one as well. Oh, it's another cat. Okay. I could potentially use this greenery area, but these words are here. I don't know. I don't know if I like that one. And, oh, that was all of them. Okay, so I think I like this, and I'll cut out some fun shrubbery shapes. So we'll move this off my little cutting mat and get creative. Now, for this one, I think I'm going to use my swivel blade so I don't have to be super close and detailed. But first, let me just create a flattish bottom. So I'm going to kind of move my blade back and forth so it's not super straight. You don't want any super straight edges in nature. So I got a little bit of a curve there. And I'll go in with my swivel blade and create some shrubbery. And I think I'm just gonna go from one side and just swivel my blade around. Maybe I'll create some bigger trees. Maybe a tall tree here. And this one's kind of more random. When I move my fingers like this, the blade just kind of does what it wants. So that's kind of nice for creating like random shapes here. What do we got? What does it look like? Alright, that's not bad. So this could be along my horizon, some trees far away. That kind of separates the mountains from my grass. And it's purple and it matches my mountains. Hey, I think that's a little bit better. And then we can start adding some trees in here.
Michaela,
yes.
How much pressure do you have to use when you use that blade?
Not a lot. It did kind of catch in some areas where it didn't cut all the way through. So, I don't know. I guess if medium pressure is a thing, like not too hard, not too soft, like you don't really need a lot of pressure. I feel like that's something that you just have to feel for yourself.
It also probably depends on the paper as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And magazine paper is pretty thin, so that was pretty easy to cut through. Alright, let's plop this thing on here. Beautiful. Alright, I think it's time for some trees and some more interest to this background here. Now I know I want to put these guys in. Oh, oh. Now I will say, let everything dry if you are layering. I'm doing this right after another, and I'm not letting it dry. Beep, 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 beep. All right. Now I know I want to put these in here, but I don't know where. Maybe like that? Or I could put, I feel like the little one has to go in front of the big one somehow. I don't want to put them on each side because that feels way too balanced. I could have this one go lower and then this one go higher, and it creates a little bit of a perspective. Or maybe I have this guy kind of behind this guy that also kind of creates some perspective. But I think having bottom of this guy go behind my grass, and then this one does too, but overlaps this one. I think I like that. Maybe it needs a little bit more space. I don't know. It's hard to decide. Maybe I will do a little bit of perspective. Punch this back a little bit. I feel like the biggest thing with collage is just playing around and moving things until you find what you like. I think I'm going to leave these here for a little bit before I glue them down and keep playing with other pieces. I do have this tree. I feel like if I use this tree, I need to give him a top because the picture just kind of ended there. So if I put him in here, he's gonna need a top. Maybe he's just a leaf tree.
A tree with leaves?
Just one giant leaf.
Wow.
Maybe it's a gold tree somehow. Maybe fit some branches in there. I don't know. I don't know if I like this guy. He's too awkward. What else do I got up here? Oh, I have my water tower. You have a question?
More of a comment.
Okay.
Thea on YouTube says, loves the tree in the background, but it needs a little bit more space between them, so a little scooch to the right.
Okay, let's try that. Scooch it over. Don't want any tangents. Do I want him a little bit behind? What do we think? Because I do think catception is going to happen over here. I might have to overlap to make it feel less strange.
Not to panic collage you, but you have a little over 10 minutes left to make this happen.
Whew. All right, gonna start gluing some stuff down.
Also, Nola was saying maybe some rocks behind catception
Ooh.
would be nice. If it wouldn't
Actually,
interfere too much.
I think I have wherever I put it. Sorry, don't mind my face right in your guys' face. I have some of these. I just cut out weird rock shapes. Maybe I can pop these back here. Yeah, needs to sit on something. Got an extra mountain. Alright, we're just gonna glue things down and say that this is all good for today. I think I am going to put the squiggle up in the sky. Alright, time for some speed gluing. Y'all ready?
If it's not live, we can just montage you real quick.
Yeah.
With some uplifting mid-2000s pop.
Oh, I was thinking the Eye of the Tiger.
You were thinking of fighting
the
montage?
tiger.
Yeah.
I was thinking of changing clothes, trying on things montage.
Music montage. Alright, I need y'all to do something. Just sing to yourselves and pretend that I'm moving in super speed motion. Create your own music montage.
We do have one question on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Do you put the glue over the paper as well as under?
You can. I would recommend that natural glass on top. You could do both. Entirely up to you. There is no right or wrong. It does create a different finish depending on which one you go with. So maybe make a little collage like I did with my earth here as an example. Play around, maybe half of it you do the natural glass, half of it you cover it with Yes Paste. See which one you like better, and then go with that. All right, let's make sure I put this in the same spot it was. I think it was right over here, tucking underneath that grassy area. Get in there. There we go. Take your time gluing. Do not speed glue like I am. Okay, I need my squiggle. I don't know how I'm gonna glue this, but we're gonna do our best. Get the warm water. Okay. Now, I think I'm gonna have to cut this down. I want it to be in just the background, so I'm gonna tuck it behind my mountains. But I might have to cut off a little bit. Might be too big. Okay. Do-do-do. I think I want it like that. And then I'll cut it away from my mountains. Oop, oop. And I'm trying to glue quickly. I'll probably fix some of these things and do a better gluing job later. Use my blade for this. Does anyone have final questions, since I guess we're already at the end here today? Maybe I just have part of it go behind the mountains. I don't hate that. Okay. Now let's get our catception in here. We have a question?
We do. How is Yes Paste different from a matte gel medium or Mod Podge?
I'm not sure what's in Mod Podge. It's very similar, but this is going to be acid-free, toxic-free, water-based. What else did it say on here? And there's no solvent in here. Like I said, I don't know what's in Mod Podge, but I do know that it is going to be a little bit different. It does act similarly, but this is more of a paste than Mod Podge is. And what was the other thing that you had said?
I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, you're good.
Matte gel medium, Mod Podge for collage. Like, what are the pros and cons? Like, how are they different? How are they similar?
I feel like a con is probably the paste aspect of it. You do have to water it down. But other than that, I feel like everything else is a pro, especially if you're thinking eco-friendly. Jar is recyclable. It's really easy to work with. It can reactivate for easy cleanup.
I just got an answer about the Mod Podge, like what's in it kind of a thing.
Okay.
It does say that it's a proprietary secret.
Okay.
But it is some kind of a chemical that has been added to it that other glues do not have.
Okay, and this is chemical free. So that would probably be the biggest difference there. Now I just have my bag and my cat head left. And then we'll go ahead and pop it in a frame. I will say I'm going to pop it in the frame so I can show off the frames to you guys. This is something that I will probably come back to and complete. I like to take my time with my collages, but I wanted to show you the full progress, or the full process in the hour that we have.
Do you find that the Yes glue has a smell?
No, I don't smell anything off of it. Hold on. No, I stuck my whole nose in there and I didn't smell anything.
Your whole nose.
Wouldn't recommend that. It does say non-toxic, but I like to make a habit of not smelling my art supplies up close. I feel like that's good practice. Alright, we got our cat on here. We'll call that good for today, and let's go ahead and trim our background. Like I said, once you're done, everything's glued down well. Flip that over, which, let me wipe down my mat real quick. That's how quick and easy it is to clean up, which I love. Alright, flip that over. Let's trim those edges. Now, I would be using a ruler, but past me did not think of that. So, we're just going to freehand this.
Do you want us to grab one?
If you can...
We can grab one.
Yeah. That way I can make sure this is an 8x10 as well. If you are cutting it down with a ruler, I recommend a metal ruler, especially with a blade, because if you're using a plastic ruler, your ruler will no longer be a straight edge. You will take off those edges. And it looks like the one that they grabbed is the Accurate ruler. So it has a cork backing, which is great, and that metal edge. So I'm just going to line this up with my backing paper, which is bright white, so that's nice and easy to see. And it's always better to go over the same line a couple of times rather than forcing it through in one go. Which, I'm gonna have to go over it one more time. I didn't cut all the way through some of those layers. There we go. And while I'm working on collage, if you guys are interested in checking out an artist that does collage, my studio mate in my grad school program, her name is Delaney Shin. She does the most beautiful cutout art and collage. You'll definitely have to check her out if you're curious with collage work. And Delaney, if you're watching this, you owe me. I'm just kidding. Alright. There we go, nice and easy. And if you guys do collage as well, my other viewers, please share that. Put that in our Jerry's Live Facebook group. I want to check out what you guys do. And while I'm cutting this out, the frames that I mentioned are also earth friendly. So a good way to have wood that is still earth conscious is getting wood that is fast growing, like bamboo. And that's what these frames are. So I have the, what is that? Ambiance Eco frames. There we go. And there are two different wood types. There's the bamboo, and I believe this is rubber wood, which is the black one. And here's my little creation. Woo! I'm gonna go ahead and pop that in one of these frames. I think I like the, maybe I like the bamboo. Now, I took it off of the bamboo, but these frames come with a acrylic glass. Always remember, it has this here, just in case you forget. It has a protecting, what's it called? Plastic, protective plastic on both sides of these. Make sure you remove both sides of that before you put anything in there. And I already did that for this one, so that's perfect. Just like a regular frame where you slide these out of the way, pop it out. Let's slide our new piece in here. Keeping this cardboard backing, taking out our eco frame paper. Paper in, go backwards, add your cardboard and your backboard. And there you go. Can't believe I did it. Got a finished piece of art here. Now, definitely let us know if you try this out. Like I said, post in our Jerry's Live Facebook group if you do. And if you are new to it, don't forget that one security question. Oh, one more thing I did want to say. When it comes to disposal, if you are working with like this water or acrylic water, disposing of your water can be a good practice as well. So you can let this evaporate and let your solids accumulate at the bottom of a jar or a bucket, whatever that may be. And then you can toss away the solids. You can also use cat litter or sand to help with the evaporation process and creating more of a solid. But it's really good to think about being friendly to our environment and reducing negative impacts on the planet simply by changing a little bit of our art practice. So I hope this inspired you, and I hope this gets you into some collage maybe. But we will see you next time, and thank you so much for joining me. That went by so quickly. And Emmy will be here next week. She is going to be talking about acrylic paint with a very special guest. Jeff Olson will be here. So we hope to see you next week. All right. Thank you all again. Bye.